Hey guys, real quick before today's episode, I know we usually put in our little funny blurb at the beginning, but today's movie does cover topics of sexual assault and suicide, so just wanted to give that trigger warning. Listen at your own discretion. Okay, thanks.
Welcome back to the Shaken Not Scared podcast, a podcast where we talk about classic and modern horror movies while we try to come up with a themed drink to go with it. Here with you as always, your hosts Eric and Vivi. How are you, Vivi?
I'm good. I'm pretty excited because today we have our first guest ever on the show.
Who's that?
It's Johnny, your brother.
Oh,
me.
When did you get here?
Like 10 minutes ago.
Do you want to tell us about yourself, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm Eric's brother.
You're probably the reason he's into horror movies.
Yeah, I've mentioned you a lot. Actually.
Oh, yeah, I definitely scared him a couple times growing up. He probably still has PTSD from it. I won't pay for that therapy.
Yeah, but you picked the movie for today.
I did. The craft for it was a very significant part of my life growing up. I broke my mom's wedding rosary because of the craft.
Okay.
I went through a nice little goth phase, and I remember I grabbed her rosary because I didn't have another one, and then as soon as it broke, I put it back where I found it. Never told her. Years later, or a month later, she found it, and she was like, who did this? I'm like,
no idea.
wow, should have taken better care of
The
it.
devil.
Well,
yeah,
now she knows.
It was her.
Like you mentioned, we're talking about The Craft from 1996.
Directed by Andrew Fleming.
Yeah.
Yep.
I chose a drink to go with it, and I'm kind of sad because I don't like it. And we have our first guest, so that's a little disappointing.
She tasted it. She cheated.
I'm excited. It looks good. It had glitter in it. It does have glitter in it.
Yeah, it does. You just got to mix it a little bit. It's very aesthetically pleasing, but I don't know if you guys are going to like it.
Did you change it up for this? I know you made a purple one earlier.
Yes. So I actually...
Oh, that's the one you're drinking.
Yes.
Okay.
I gave you guys the one I didn't like, and I chose another.
Amazing.
But I tasted it. So I got this recipe off Pinterest, and I changed it a little bit, and I'm going to call it Bitchcraft.
It's very bitchcrafty.
Yeah, it's a black-looking drink, and it has glitter in it. It has vodka, Kahlua, creme de cassis. I don't know if that's how you pronounce
Cassis.
it. Cassis.
I don't know.
Sure. If you guys want to give it a try. Go ahead.
I'm going to try
This is our candid response. Me and Johnny didn't really...
So it looks great. It does have glitter in it. It looks very if you were to see a witch stirring a pot full of poison or a cauldron or anything like that, it looks like that. Then they have these cute little stirs with a skeleton on it and berries on it. It looks very high class. Oh my god, it is high class. I'm allergic.
If you let it sit, earlier you let yours sit and the glitter looked like a spider web on the top. So let your drink sit if you like spider webs.
So what do you guys think?
It tastes like alcoholic jelly. It needs peanut butter.
That laugh made the drink go through my nose.
I think it has a very specific taste, and I want to know if you guys can guess it.
You said it tastes like candy.
It tastes like a certain candy.
Like a bad candy? It kind of tastes candy.
It's not a candy I like.
Like a grape Jolly Rancher or something like that. Like a watered down grape.
It is
Rancher.
definitely grapey.
I thought it actually tasted like a Tootsie Roll.
Oh, no. I don't
No,
think
not at all.
Like licorice? Or not just...
Oh, you're talking about the chocolate?
Yeah, the little
Really?
The cheap Halloween candy that you get every year and you don't like. Well, I don't like.
It does taste like the kind of candy that you want to throw away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it tastes like cough syrup.
Yeah, I don't like Tootsie
cough
Rolls.
drops, kind of. I mean, it's fine.
It's not so bad that I wouldn't order. If it was the only drink on the menu, I'd probably still order it.
I promise I've made better drinks than this.
I was going to say, I feel like we're giving it a bad rap. It's fine. It's not
if
nasty.
you like Tootsie Rolls or candies, but it's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, it's a great holiday drink if it was dark day. I don't know. Black Fairy Day. Funeral. Oh, yeah. If they had this at a funeral, I'd be like, yes, I'm going.
What about yours? You didn't drink your fancy purple one.
Okay, so I made another one. I basically made a gimlet with Empress Gin, which is the gin that changes color when you add citrus to it.
Is it a bitch gimlet? Because this one's a bitchcraft.
Well, I did put glitter in it, so I guess it's a bitch gimlet. What would you guys rate it?
2.
Oh, I wouldn't go that low. I'd give it a 5 or a 6.
Out of 5.
I actually didn't think it was...
Out of 5.
Out of 5? Oh, out of 5?
Yeah.
Out of 5? A 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's more than half. Like I probably would order it again.
Yeah.
If I looked at the menu and everything else looked weird, I'd probably go back with this.
It's I want to post this on Instagram drink.
For sure.
Not it tastes amazing drink.
Well, as soon as I walked in, that's what I did. I pulled out my phone. I took a video of the swirling. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have also given it like a 2.
Would have.
Yeah, because
What
I
about
drank
your-
it while we were watching the movie, but then I made myself another drink.
You poured yourself a beer because you were like, I need to wash this.
Wash this down.
I don't know. And I feel like it's one of those like the more you drink it, the more I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, I guess if you haven't heard other episodes, I'm not a sweet drinker, so that's why mine's
You
probably
also
lower.
hate vodka.
And I do hate vodka.
I did hear that. I have like Cliff Notes for you, each of you.
Oh, yeah? So mine's a 2 for that reason, but...
I just don't like the Tootsie Roll type taste of it. Definitely looks like a Halloween drink, tastes like a Halloween candy, but not a huge fan.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you like it, take a look at it, drink it, try the gimlet too. It looks cool. All right, so that being said, we're going to do our consuming creepy content segment.
Yeah.
So what we're reading, what we're playing, what we're watching. Do you want to tell us what you've been consuming?
I've been watching a lot of Unsolved Mysteries because they brought that back.
Oh, yes.
And I think it's kind of uncomfortable to watch. Like it's like we were talking about like Saw, like those kind of movies where it's like it's torture and like it's like an endurance film. And I feel like Unsolved Mysteries is very much that like fetishizing people's heartbreak because you know that they still haven't solved this mystery. So the whole episode is about you watching these people cry over their loved one that they lost, and you know they're not going to find them by the end. So it's like you're just watching it for the fun of watching people cry. And when I realized that, I'm like, oh, this is creepy. This is like.
Did you grow up watching the original?
I just remember hearing the sound. I remember like the end of it and be like, if you have any information on.
Yes, yeah.
Like I remember that, but I don't remember any like specific episodes, but I know that I used to watch it because of that, because I remember that guy.
Do you, so it's funny you say that because I think we were talking about this with the Amityville Horror and The Conjuring, is that these Hollywood movies kind of glamorize these actual events that have happened for people that may be traumatic, right?
Yeah.
But they maximize on it money-wise and, don't necessarily really care, maybe they do, but care about like the emotional toll that those kinds of events have taken on people.
I think like this, like Unsolved Mysteries, it really is trying to find these people.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they're also showcasing all this pain, right? They're like they are making money off these people's horror, but I think ultimately they do because I feel like in the old version anyway, there were a couple of moments where like they found the person because of the show.
Yeah.
Which is so good. Like it makes you feel so good when you read those articles of the Unsolved Mysteries actually being solved and that sort of closure that people get.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, I think. What about you? What are you consuming? Is that all you got? Hold on. Sorry.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Nothing else creepy. Not too many creepy things. Creepy people.
Next time.
Creepy people. That's a whole nother segment. I've been watching I guess this is more true crime, the Mia Farrow versus Woody Allen documentary that's now on HBO, and it is messed up.
Tell me about this.
What is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I kind of remember this being a story. You know that Woody Allen is now married to Suni, I think is her name. But she was one of Mia Farrow's adopted children. And he was dating Mia Farrow for like 10 years. And essentially groomed this child to be his bride.
Creepy as
It's
fuck.
gross.
Oh my god.
It is really gross. And
Real life Twilight?
It's worse than that. Because like it examines like his films and how there's a lot of like pedophilia and grooming in his films, which I didn't realize. I might go back and watch and try to see that.
Yeah, I'm not on board with pedophilia at all, obviously, but like,
I hope nobody is.
No, but there's like Lolita, like did you ever watch that movie? Lolita?
Yes, I did.
And it does like when I take that and I take like the Michael Jackson situation and I think of like a stunted event in their lives, so, like the Lolita guy in that story anyway, like he falls in love with someone that he's the same age with. That image sticks in his head as what he's interested in. Mm-hmm. He grows up, the image stays there, but there's this like unresolved tension crisis because this girl dies or whatever when he's a younger kid that you're like it is psychologically. I mean, it's psychologically like. Oh my god, I feel so bad for him. But in realistically, it's like you're still a pedophile.
Exactly.
So like not like a cool thing to do to someone else. Like it's
just because you had a horrible childhood
Go to therapy.
experience does not mean you get to do that to other people.
Yeah, but it just kind of goes to like we have to like pay attention like as far as like counseling and resources for people that are like that out there. We need to make sure that we draw attention to.
Well, that's why I'm so amazed that he had such a successful like movie career, because all his films are about grooming and pedophilia, and it's like we just let this happen.
We did.
That's what I've been watching, and it's been gross. What have you been watching?
Nothing so serious. I've been watching cartoons. No, just kidding. I've been watching Attack on Titan. Everyone who's been listening to this for a while, I finally finished it. It's really good. The last episode of season, what is this, 3?
Yes.
3? Yeah, it's really good and like opened up a whole other world. First episode, you watch a kid's mom get eten in front of him. Mm. So,
hot.
Traumatizing.
Hot.
Oh, that kind of eating.
No!
Oh my god. No. Not what I meant.
But you've also been playing Doom.
I have. So I finally beat Doom after like a week. He was impressed that I beat it very fast. I don't know if you remember Doom. That's a very old game. The original one.
I didn't play too many games.
Yeah, you did.
You didn't play any horror games growing up?
I like the video games that I played were like I played like some Atari games, like Galaga. I played Galaga. I played like Mario Brothers, Contra. Do you remember Contra?
Contra, yes.
Contra, which was like to me was like the knockoff of like what it was like within Street Fighter.
Yeah.
It felt very that.
Contra? Contra was guns. Contra? Street Fighter was fighting. You're talking about Double Dragon.
Contra, Double Dragon. Like, yes. But like Contra was very. I remember like I can remember the episodes of like.
Yeah, you're running around. You got like some endless amount of bullets.
There's a guy, Alec Nyston, on Instagram, who I think is super hot, who cuts he's like blonde and he cuts his hair like flat top and he looks like a character from
like
that.
Guile from Street Fighter?
Yeah, like he's like a, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Doom is a very old game, but it got remastered or remade, I think is what the correction is. But there's a sequel called Doom Eternal, and I'm playing that now. So it's a lot more guns, a lot more aliens, a lot more demons, a lot more space. So if you like demons in space, this is the game for you.
Yeah, space is very like now too, like 6 feet of space.
Yeah,
at least.
But the last thing I've got is so sadly enough, a podcast that I've been listening to for like 4 years. It's called the What If Podcast. They talk about everything what if. It's coming to an end. A couple guys that I felt like you listen and they're like your friends. That are not your friends, coming to an end. So if you ever have time to check out another podcast, the What If Podcast, I recommend it. They've got like 2 years worth of content out there, but sad. But they also have creepy content, so if you like that, check it out.
So are we ready to talk about The Craft?
Let's do it.
I'm ready to talk about it.
All right, I am going to read the IMDb review or plot summary. So, after transferring to a Los Angeles high school, Sarah finds her telekinetic gifts appeal to a group of 3 wannabe witches. That's a good way to put it. Wannabe. Who happen to be seeking a 4th member for their rituals. Rochelle and Nancy and Bonnie, like Sarah herself, all have troubled backgrounds which, combined with their novice powers, lead to dangerous consequences. When a minor spell causes a fellow student to lose her hair, the girls grow power mad. And I would say they grew power mad before that.
Yeah.
Wait, the hair is what caused them to...
There was like scenes before that where they were going power mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens pretty early in the movie, too. It's like an hour in.
Yeah.
And it's almost a 2-hour movie.
So, Johnny, you picked this movie.
Yeah. It was probably one of the first movies that I ever connected with femininely. Like, it was like, I remember I wanted to be Fairuza Balk so bad. And, like, I would, like, the way I would walk was, like, my hands were, like, really straight. And, like, I wanted to wear black. And, like, I wanted to be Fairuza Balk. It was probably the first time I ever wanted to be a woman. Like, I just wanted to have that, embrace that, like, that moment.
That feminine power.
That feminine power. But it's also, I feel like over the years, it's like, it wasn't as popular back then, but now it's like a super
cult classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People are like, a sequel coming out.
This is the thing. Like if you compare it with, like, we kind of mentioned what we were watching it, like Clueless, like there's scenes that are very like, Clueless is like the yay, happy Noxzema moment. And we're walking into high school and like, oh my God, as if, like with Cher, like, walking onto campus, and then in this movie, there's like they're walking onto campus, but they're like the very like
they're the outcasts,
dark
the
outcasts,
the goths.
Yeah.
I wish I was that cool.
Yeah, I remember this movie, and I think I watched it again when I was in high school and college.
Because you all were like 3 years old.
When it first came out.
Yeah.
But same thing, you're like, damn, this is what I want to be. That like goth baby, like all black. I think that's the reason my house looks
If
like
I ever
this
have
now.
a baby, I want a goth baby.
A goth baby, yeah. We will only accept goth children in this household.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's crazy how it's like so popular, right? But then growing up, it was always like you were the outcast. For real. I mean, this is like
this is a movie for the outcast.
So it connects with a lot. Like, I feel like even popular people feel like outcasts. So I feel like that connects with a lot of people.
It resonates with a lot of people. So do we want to get into summarizing what happens?
No.
Okay.
Fun facts.
Oh, go for it.
Fun fact.
So I've got fun facts now. These are coming from mentalfloss.com. To make the movie more authentic, a couple of factors played a key role. Fairuza Balk was a practicing Wiccan and even bought an occult shop that helped her conduct her research. She knew a lot about the subject to the extent that the director would consult her to improve scenes and make the characters more believable.
Shut up. I did not know that.
So they also hired Pat Devin as a consultant who is a member of the Covenant of the Goddesses, one of the oldest and largest Wiccan organizations in the United States.
That's pretty cool. Can I join?
Cute.
We should look that up. I know you wanted to get into Wicca lately.
I've studied some of it, but it is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of witchy friends, friends that believe in a lot of the witchy type stuff. And I feel like Wicca has this really bad, obviously.
It has a bad
rap. But I feel like at the core of Wicca is a lot of natural connect with earth kind of
for
things
sure.
that as a modern society we forget. Like intuitive, smell the rain kind of stuff that we that's Wicca. And we don't do that anymore.
You know why though? Because everyone defaults witch and witchcraft to the demon. The devil.
Yeah, no, and
The
Wicca
bad.
is honestly about natural connections to the earth and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
they-
religion. It is a religion. It's a
Totally.
recognized religion in the U.S.
I mean, there's a whole organization, Covenant of the Goddesses.
Mhm.
I've never heard of this. We should look it up for real.
What else you got?
So allegedly, weird things happened behind the scenes during the rituals. According to Balk, she had heard from a witch that the beach was not for pagan ceremonies. And during the filming of the ritual on the beach, the tide kept wiping out the set when they would start their incantations.
I thought that the beach was because this movie focuses a lot on the elements. I thought the beach was the water element, but I guess it was.
I just thought it was
idea.
because it was California. Because they never
That too.
do they ever say where it is?
San Francisco.
LA.
Yeah.
Oh, they do say.
Oh, is it
LA.
LA?
LA, because
They came
later
from San
on,
Francisco?
they say she moved from San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything about it just feels very Californian to
For
me.
sure.
I'm okay,
Mhm.
they have to have the ocean
Yeah.
And the beach.
and a hammerhead shark.
They had
Yeah.
cactuses in their house. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, desert. Palm Springs.
So the weird thing is that the tide would go down when they would stop, and they had consulted a park ranger who told them that the tide wasn't going to be a problem while filming, so they all thought this was weird. Apparently, I didn't write this one down, but a white owl was following them around during filming, too.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cool, yeah.
I love a good haunted film.
Same.
I mean, no one died like in other movies. But...
Oh, no, yeah.
Do we know that for sure?
Oh.
Possibly. Off screen.
We'll
Uncredited.
look that up later.
But yeah, so time to dive in.
So the opening scene is Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle doing some sort of ritual. And I just want to say, I want my whole house to look like the little setup they have going on.
There was sigil, lots of little
Sage.
images
Sage, yeah.
and my
Palo
place
Santo,
smells like
probably.
sage. Do you burn sage? Do you guys
Yeah, we do.
We have
Sage
Palo
and
Santo,
Palo
sage.
Santo.
Palo Santo. I like how it smells like campfire, but two different campfires.
Mm-hmm.
It
So I
smells
was like,
minty.
Kinda.
Yeah. Palo Santo does.
To me, Palo Santo smells very perfumey when you burn it. Yeah.
Apparently
I
it helps
mentioned this before, but Palo Santo helps with migraines. So if you have
Really?
migraines, burn it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we get a lot of, once that first scene gets played out, we get a lot of symbology flashing, and then the intro starts. And it's cloudy, there's a plane, so it looks like the family is approaching a new home. There's boxes, it's raining.
And they move in from San Francisco to LA. I don't imagine it's not that far that you have to take a plane. You could drive.
You could drive,
It's pretty far though, isn't it 4 or 6
and if you're
hours?
moving, why would you take a plane?
Yeah, don't you have to take a U-Haul with all your shit?
You even it looks like the hired movers because the boxes,
Yeah.
if you remember, they walked in, the boxes were already inside their house. But even if I hired movers, I would still have a pillow or a blanket, the towels that I don't know. So I feel like I would still drive from San Francisco to LA.
Follow the truck.
I would drive from Chicago to LA, so I don't know why they wouldn't drive from.
Oh, you would?
She hates.
I don't know about road trips, but
She can't last
So,
more than an hour without having
Ryan
to
and I'm gay. Part of Ryan. So Ryan and I, we were living in Austin, and we had 2 weeks off. Because I would group I'm a nurse, and I would group my working days. So it was 3 days on, and like whatever 4 days off, and I would just group them so I would have 6 days on and then have 8 days off. So I had a bunch of days off, and we just drove as far west as we could go, knowing that we have to like turn around and drive back. So if there's ever an opportunity to drive to LA, and if I'm moving, yeah, I'm gonna take it.
Maybe this is why you like road trips.
I
It's like
told
a
you-
family thing.
I told you I would love to do it. You just would hate it.
Well, you tell me all the time how you guys would drive to Wisconsin.
So what we should do then is
That's
like
not a road
you
trip.
hang out with Ryan and babysit Ryan for me, and Eric and I are going to take it.
Oh, for sure. Go for it.
Yeah. And then we're going to go to school and turn into witches.
Oh, you can't do that without me.
As long as we walk in just like Fairuza Balk. Guys, I brought my
I need more
rosary.
black clothes.
But let's talk about the giant house they move into.
And the
Yes.
messed up roof that they had. It's like
What does
raining
Dad
inside.
do? Like, I want to know,
Right.
like, what does Daddy do? Also, where's Mom was like in the first scene and then never again.
Yeah.
Stepmom.
Stepmom.
I didn't even realize that it was a stepmom until later.
Yeah,
Right.
until she pulls out the picture of her actual mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an angsty song. Like, the intro song is like very like,
Isn't it,
95, like,
Isn't like a redone version of the Beatles?
what's I forget what song
I'm
it
pretty
was.
sure it was a Beatles song. Cause
I don't know, but all the music in this film seemed
Really good.
like really good.
It was very
Super
90s.
quintessential. Yes, quintessential 90s.
Portishead was in there. I forget what the name of the movie is, but it's like, give me a reason to be a woman.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that line
Oh.
alone.
But yeah, so that's they're moving in. Looks like the daughter is also trying to assimilate to the house. There's a weird knock at the door, and a homeless man implied.
Brings in the snake. Like,
Let's talk about that daughter though. Like, let's talk about Sarah and how her actions are very like, I don't care, and like she's like,
She's an angsty
her
teen.
body positioning is like arms and shoulders are very back, and
Mhm.
like she's not like I feel like like laid back L.A. yes, but like she's from San Francisco, which it's a little bit edgier maybe.
Mhm.
Like I feel like she's acting very like, oh, I don't care, hair over the like side.
angsty teen.
I think it's
Yeah.
an angsty teen thing, yeah. Which none of the actresses were actually teenagers during filming this movie.
They never
Obviously,
are.
very obviously.
They never are.
Yeah, they never are.
The youngest looking of them was probably Nev Campbell.
Hmm.
And we just covered Scream like 2 episodes ago. And we can talk about how she's portrayed as like the quiet, shy girl, but she's beautiful.
Yeah, she like, oh yeah, we talked about that. Like she shoulders down, covered up, head to toe,
Turtleneck.
like no makeup, hair
Yeah.
mess,
In her face,
like,
yeah.
and yeah, and then she like goes through that like surgery, and it's like, oh guys, I have tits, like
Yeah, fantastic. For sure.
Like her face changed, yeah. Anyway, back to the homeless man going up to your house when you move in with snakes.
If a homeless man walks up to me with a snake, I am not gonna lay on the floor. Like Sarah just like fell,
Oh.
like yeah.
She calls her dad, but like
Yeah.
the dad comes down and kills the snake, the homeless man runs away. One time I was drawn by a homeless man.
it's not the same
It's not.
as them breaking into
And
your
I
house.
stood there for it. I didn't fall.
Also the timing. I feel like they were just moving in Bacchus and it was daylight, and all of a sudden it's like dark and raining, and there's this homeless man with a snake,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Which becomes like a trope throughout the movie. Snakes.
He returns too. We see
Yeah.
him on later on.
Yeah, we do.
Are you afraid of snakes? I'm afraid of snakes.
Are you? I think we're afraid of spiders.
I don't like snakes. Spiders are fine.
Now?
So
They are.
You were deathly afraid before.
I think it's because Ryan's afraid of them, so now I'm supposed to not be.
Oh, okay.
I'm usually like the
someone
defender.
has to be the
Someone has to put
spider
the cup
killer.
on them and take
Yeah.
them outside, and that's me.
Oh, so you don't kill them.
I do not kill them.
That's good.
Because they take care of bugs.
That's
True.
very Wiccan of you.
True.
They don't kill because it's like part of the element.
I'm gonna put that on my Wiccan card. It's
Yeah.
it's like a
For sure.
it's like an organ donor.
Does not kill spiders. I don't know about spiders. Like, okay, I know people keep them as pets, and that's cool, but I wouldn't keep them as pets.
Snakes or spiders?
Spiders and snakes.
Both.
People keep tarantulas and
Oh,
stuff.
I wouldn't
Oh,
keep
yeah.
a spider as a pet. Like,
No.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to keep track of it.
Like, we have a friend who's
You gotta train
like,
it.
I don't
train
want
it.
a cat
Can
because
you
a
train
cat can't love me. I feel like the same way about spiders and tarantulas. They can't give you, like, love. You're just taking care of it.
You sure?
Yeah.
I don't
You just
know.
need to learn their love language.
I don't.
Maybe.
I'd be too scared. It'd be like a lion even, or like a bear. Like you can probably train it, but it can still bite your head off.
Some Tiger King
it could
shit.
just turn on you.
So she goes to this high school. She doesn't have a uniform. Like alienate yourself as the new girl.
Right.
It's a Catholic school, so
It's Catholic school.
Nothing less says new girl like someone that's not in a like above the knee plaid skirt.
For sure. In a very 90s like sundress.
we're introduced to the characters in the school and immediately introduced to the three.
Wait, though, when she's dropped off, like, because I wrote this note down, like, when she's dropped off by her dad, did you listen to her, like, body language, or did you watch her body language when she's talking to her dad? She feels very sexy. She was like, I know, Dad. And getting dropped off at school, but it's almost like her boyfriend was dropping her off, not her dad. Like, that was a feeling I kept getting. I'm like, why is she acting so sexy?
Her character is very subtly sexy.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say,
general.
I like how the vibe that it's supposed to give is that I'm the new girl who's nervous and, like, is the outcast or whatever. But you guys are taking it as, like, I'm just too good to be here, okay?
She's the new girl, but, like, she does a million things on her first day, including making out with someone, goes and does a ritual in the woods. 2. Like, I wouldn't do that if I was the new girl.
That was all in the same day, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's like the first 45 minutes of the movie is all one day. Yeah, so we're introduced to the 3, though.
Yes.
Rochelle, Bonnie, and
Nancy.
most importantly, Nancy.
And the noose in the locker.
Yeah, I was going to talk about
Suicide
that.
right off the bat.
Yes, a suicide topic immediately. Or she's just trying to be very edgy.
Mm-hmm.
Who, Sarah?
Nancy.
Oh, that's right.
She has the noose in her locker.
Yeah, they're hating on everybody. They're like, we're the outcasts. And then, like, I'm going to pull this noose and just kind of hang from it in my locker. Like, so, like, that's not going to make you an outcast, right?
Yeah. I was about to say, it's to imply that they're the weird ones. They're the, like...
So, which brings me to the question. Were you guys the outcasts in high school? I knew you in high school, so that's an unfair question.
My high school, like, there were no outcasts. Like, I went to... like a boarding high school, and it was the weirdest, most safest like high school environment. No one was an outcast. Everyone was friends with everyone else. Like there were cliques, there were like groups of people that like definitely like you could tell like this is this group and that's that group, but like everyone was just kind of like a friend.
Even you, I think coming from like CPS, going to that school, you like explode. I mean, I was a kid at the time, but I know that you exploded socially.
Yeah,
out of your
I feel like in high school I probably was shy, like shyer than ever. There was no reason for me to be shy, and I was just shy just because that was like me. And even now, I feel like I'm extroverted online, but I'm introverted in person. Like as long as there's like right now, like we're recording this, so I feel like I can talk about everything and be open. But if this was like in person with other larger group of people, oh hell no! It'd just be like 10 drinks in, it'd still be like, okay, maybe I can like say hi.
Yeah.
Slurred hi.
What
about you?
I was 100% the weird girl in high school. That's why you fucking married me.
Ah, yeah.
I can vouch for like There were like I was just telling Eric earlier, like I didn't realize how into some things he was in until she came into the picture. Like Vivi's in the picture, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I was the weird girl. I was probably the girl with the noose in her locker.
Yeah. You were
oh my god, Eric is a noose chaser.
What does that mean?
A noose chaser? A-N-U... oh, no.
You were always very social in high school that I could tell.
That's weird because I grew up getting picked on, and I always tried to be social, which is I think it's a different take because I tried to be social, but that might have come off as extroverted, but it was like a cry for help, I think. Oh. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like I was just trying to be cool, but I was so unattached from anyone because I felt like I needed to be something else to be able to be friends.
Because you ended up with the weird girl in high school, I was gonna say I probably didn't see you as the cool kid.
I'm implying that I'm not saying it worked, right?
Because I'm getting a lot really
of I'm getting like so much information.
I'm saying that it wasn't necessarily working. It's more like I was trying to be someone I wasn't, and so in that sense, I was.
Which is like everyone in high school. Right. Everyone tries to be cooler than they are.
His older brother, though, like I feel like to me, you always seem very cool.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Like as someone that's like a decade older than you, I'm like. I always just thought, I'm like, oh, he has his shit so together, like compared to like when I was like that age.
It's always on fire at all times. Just I make it look cool.
You're like, this is fine.
Yeah.
That's the prettiest fire.
But yeah, no, I felt like the outcasts for a while. I did definitely find friends, but they were also outcasts, I'd say.
But in this movie, they even refer to them as the bitches of Eastwick or something.
Yeah.
Because Sarah sees them and like they kind of diss her in biology class, but then she talks to Chris, and Chris is like,
"No, I was gonna say they do." I was gonna say they do diss her in class, but also it's because let's not forget that Bonnie starts to kind of notice her. Nancy's kind of like, "No," because they keep referring to this thing of she's our fourth, and so they are standoffish because I think they're like, no, this is our group of friends. She's clearly not the fourth, but Bonnie starts to notice things about Sarah that are odd.
Nancy is definitely like, I'm in charge. I say what goes. Mm-hmm. And if I don't want a fourth in this friend group, it's not going to happen. Right. That's her like vibe in this biology class. Mm-hmm. And then Chris talks to her later and is like, they're weird. They're like, quote unquote, witches.
The one is a slut. The one is scarred and doesn't even show her body, which I think is a shitty... this guy's shitty. Anyway. But they don't even talk about Rochelle. And I pointed it out to you guys. I was like, is he just racist? Because he's like, the other one doesn't even exist. Or you, Johnny, said, she's just cool. She's fine. She's actually normal.
She's fine. Yeah, she's just in there because she wants to be.
She's got a little pink bow.
It was weird. It was a little bit weird to me that like this new girl is just going to like do the pencil thing and twirl it around. Also, there was only 2 girls in that first class. It was Bonnie and Sarah. Yeah. Everyone else was a boy.
That's true. I didn't even notice that.
And it was French. I don't know if French has anything to do with it, but in that scene too, Sarah's very angsty and is kind of like making the dudes sound like idiots because they're trying to play with the teacher and act
she
like
knows
they know French.
And she's like, I know that I'm different and whatever, but I'm just gonna make this pencil spin.
Yeah,
which is odd, right? So like this movie kind of plays out where Sarah doesn't know she's a witch and realizes it through her connection with these 3 girls and throughout the rest of the movie. But she's played stiff as a board, that light as a feather, stiff as a board. Like, have you guys ever played this game? Like,
I was gonna ask you that. No, I have never played it.
But you come into this new place and then you're starting to be surprised about Wicca being a thing, and you've always had these things happen. It's kind of like Harry Potter. He's like,
I had weird things happen to me, and I never knew.
Also, like, why are these like Vegas? Like go like put on a show. Like these girls are like, I just want this guy to love me. Like fuck the guy. Like I want money.
They're teenagers.
Which does come into play later with Nancy wanting money.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
But they're teenagers, so you can't imagine they have any real plans for life other than to.
I would rob a bank. I would like get a new car. I don't know.
In high school,
I'm a teen. Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done in high school if I had powers. Probably some stupid stuff like get
they do
food.
I don't know. I would like.
Endless pad thai.
Talk to some animals. Make it rain.
Money or brain?
Both.
The girls eventually do kind of realize that Sarah is special, and they talk to her after her first day of school. And we learn like so much and so little. We learn that Sarah kind of attempted suicide when she was back in San Francisco, and that's why they kind of moved the right way.
Which they also make that point of, yeah.
How dark. And then they go into this witch shop where they meet the owner. So the owner's name is Lirio. Pretty name.
So she might be from somewhere else. I think you mentioned earlier she might be Spanish or something.
And if her name's Lirio, it sounds like Lirio. What's Lirio? Isn't it like lyric or like Laurel?
I don't know.
What does Lirio mean?
In Spanish, I feel like that's a thing. I feel like that's a word.
Lirio is a word in Spanish. It is Lily.
I was gonna say like it's like a thing. Yeah.
Lily. Yeah.
Throughout the film, she kind of becomes like this reference for knowledge where they go back and ask her for help.
Because so Sarah's friends with them now because they were like, oh, we didn't really mean to be mean to you. Nancy's kind of intrigued by the idea of the fourth, right? And so they're hanging out with Sarah. They see her scars from her, potential suicide attempts. They go to the store because they're going to do 5-finger discounts, and Sarah's kind of like trying to figure out how she fits in, and so she's not stealing, but it seems like the other ones are. And Lidio herself is like, oh, are you going to pay for that? And she's like, yeah. But Lidio's kind of understanding, like, you're different than these 3, right? Because later it's kind of referenced that, like, she's good and that the other ones are kind of...
Also, like just to point out, so, like, this is very feminine. This whole movie is very feminine focused.
For sure.
This store, like, is very feminine focused. So, woman shop owner... There's like that image of the Virgen de Guadalupe. Mm-hmm. The book also...
The original witch.
I feel like they also talk about like this diary. The diary that she's going to steal or she's trying to steal or whatever is like a burn book, which is also like like Mean Girls, Clueless. So it's like another like... I'm just connecting it to these other like period type...
Is it I was about to say, is it a thing of the era to say it's a burn book? There's Mean Girls. Because Mean Girls... The movie came out later on, but
probably as a result of 10 years later.
I'm saying it's as a result of these vibes and these kind of tropes of this time, right? So when Lidio is talking to Sarah because she points out she's different, she tells her she's a natural witch and power comes from within.
Yes, she even mentions her mother.
Already, right off the bat. Like if she knew her, right?
Yes.
Did she mention her that soon, Lidio?
No, she's just kind of like all-knowing. She's a true witch, I think you're supposed to gather as the
And she's
audience.
not, like, in any way, shape, or form put off by the fact that an actual witch came into the fucking store.
No, she's not.
She's like, most people come in here and buy like a bracelet and like a couple of rocks
and put it on Instagram and they're like, look, witch vibes.
We know what we're doing. Okay. And then there's like actual witch comes in and she's like, oh, it's cool.
Yeah. We actually went to a shop like this in Pilsen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. It was pretty fun.
We have pictures.
Yeah, because they're like, there's a secret tea room in the back, and it reminded me of her secret room in the back.
I mean, secret tea rooms to me are different.
Oh, God.
It was way more than we... it doesn't look like a cafe. There was no counter. There was no display of anything. And they're like, okay, cool. So follow us to the back. It's ready. And we're like, what the heck?
Lotions and potions?
But it looked like a house, right? In the back.
It is a very cute place. I do recommend going and being like, can I have some tea? It's like a Starbucks in the back with tea.
We should probably find it and reference it in the show notes.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But
if you want to get your sage, if you want to get your candles, that's somewhere you can go in Chicago.
Totally.
Yeah, the tea room was cool. They had props and everything. I mean, it was a whole experience for no reason.
Reminded me of this shop in the film, for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So, again, they're in this, like, back alley part of town.
Yeah. And she's this good little rich girl. I feel like that's an important note to make. Like Fairuza Balk's character, what's her name? Nancy. Is very, like, poor white trash, whereas Sarah is very, like,
high class,
good, perfect little rich girl. And she's like,
that's true.
And Fairuza even like says like at one point she's like, oh, nothing's ever been bad for you, or like you've never had to deal with that shit. Like it's like I've had a rough life. You have,
which isn't wrong. You know, when you come from that,
you didn't have a mom. I don't know when like mom came into the picture, but she didn't have a mom. I don't know what her dad.
It's not right for you to like point that stuff out for sure.
No,
because later you do come from nothing, but you should also not like have to attack other people for their misfortunes.
This film, for being 1996, is pretty woke. So Rochelle points out that Nancy's white trash, but she's still white. Yeah. So that comes with some sort of privilege.
Problem, and what she uses her, I guess, gift for is a racist commentary, right? On that mean girl is picking on her. Rochelle seems to be on a swim class where she dives, and every time she tries to dive, these mean girls pick on her and she always fails.
Who is at a indoor pool and gets scared mid-dive by the word shark?
You were on the swim team.
There's obviously no sharks. So like if I'm in the mid-dive and someone's like shark, who cares? You're mid-dive. I don't even think you can hear while you're diving. You're like twirling.
You're so high up.
You're twirling so many times that like somebody else shark. Who cares? Like you're just gonna you're in the water. Like before they say shark, you're done.
Well, I think we're supposed to watch this from the point of view of a teenager who's like affected by like the social parts of.
Or a 28-year-old that's playing a teenager.
Yes. Yeah, but so she's got a whole thing where these girls are mean to her. Laura literally says, "I don't like you because you're black," right?
She literally does. I think we're like way ahead though.
We are.
Let's circle back.
Yeah, we're still at. Nancy's manic and Sarah is the polar opposite. Sarah is like a Xanaxed out rich girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my.
And Nancy's like off the bat, you could tell she's super jealous type of person, especially since you notice that Sarah's got these natural abilities that they've all been trying to get forever.
And also Chris Hooker, who is the hot guy, is into her, and there's a past there with like Nancy.
With them, yeah. Mm-hmm. So she has reasons to kind of have like this double-sided relationship with Sarah.
Jealousy.
I
mean, I'd be jealous of Sarah if like she came into the school. She's this new hot little thing with great body, like great fake hair.
Great fake hair.
Great fake hair.
It is not great fake hair.
For those who don't know, she was filming this movie with a wig on because she was filming something else where she had a shaved head.
And the whole movie, you can see the lace on the lace.
You can. It's so distracting.
It's so poorly blended into the makeup that you can see it the whole time.
She has the biggest forehead because I think they just put her bald part too high.
So, why couldn't she just be bald during this movie? Would that have taken away from it?
Oh, like what is her? Like how bad is her hair that she needed a wig?
A bad wig.
Yeah.
Well, she hadn't grown her hair yet, but I think is it the fact that like you can't come in as a new girl with already looking like an outcast to then be like I fit in with the outcasts and not the rest of the general body, right?
I think there's like a commentary there on like femininity and like long hair.
True.
In the 90s, where it's like Jennifer Aniston hair was in. So
however, yeah, I was gonna say that short hair with women is seen as like badass, and is that weird?
Short hair with women is badass, and in the 90s it was even more badass. Like the Cranberries, lead singer had short hair.
Short hair is a mental breakdown.
Short hair is Britney.
It's considered a mental breakdown. when it's just your hairstyle.
Well, because I was thinking
Shannon
of like
O'Connor.
Shannon O'Connor, that's where I was going to go.
I was thinking of Ripley from Alien?
Believe it or not? Oh.
Ripley's Believe It or Not, yes.
I thought that too.
Ripley from Alien.
From Alien.
Remember she has short hair at some
Oh,
point?
I don't know the name Ripley. Is that the name of the lady from
Is it
Sigourney
Ridley?
Weaver or whatever?
Sigourney Weaver, yes.
Ripley or Ripley? I think it is Ripley.
I think that's her name.
Yeah, someone's probably going to correct it, but...
Don't read the comments.
Yeah.
You can send us hate mail.
We owe you nothing. We owe you nothing.
I don't know him. I'm not his brother. Do not associate with him.
So we get introduced to this deity named Manon.
Another fun fact is not
It's
real.
like you take him into you. I can
He's
feel him
inside you.
me.
Yeah.
I'm like all these like sexual, like, oh my god, like you're fine the way you are. You don't need anyone inside you.
I'm only powerful if someone's inside me.
Oh no.
Every time they like he's inside me, it's like I can feel him in him still coursing. Like everything was so like girl.
You don't need him.
like
You don't need him.
no.
I mentioned this while we were watching the movie, but part of what makes witches a horror icon is their sexual power and their lack of need for male validation. That's what makes them scary in today's society.
One thing about Manon, real quick. Manon was made up for the movie.
He is. I
So-
looked it up. He's not an actual deity. He's made up of a lot of pagan deities.
Yes, the reason that they used the fake or made up one for the movie was to stay away from offending anyone who actually follows Wicca and paganism.
Which is super smart.
But the movie around this time, someone like so this whole movie is about like how magic and their like witchcraft or whatever makes things better or worse or whatever for them. And they do use the line that I forget who it is, but nothing makes everything all better.
Sarah,
So-
I think, says it.
Is it Sarah? Like
Yeah.
someone was like, even though like Nancy has a shitty life and she lives in a trailer home, and like Sarah has a really good life financially anyway and doesn't have a mom, magic isn't going to fix everything.
No.
So even though the whole movie, it's like magic is trying to fix everything, it doesn't fix anything.
Which I think is a weird thing that happens in movies when magic is present. There's always this lesson to be learned that any magic you do it's like the genie in the bottle, right? The real story of a genie is not Aladdin, where everything great happens. I mean, I guess Aladdin's story is also that you can't wish for happiness, because whatever you wish for is not good.
I know that is an actual law in Wiccan. Whatever you do unto others comes back threefold to you. It's an actual thing.
So what you're saying is if I wish $1 million for Johnny, I'll get $3 million?
If you use it for good.
I mean, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But if you use it for evil...
Can you wish $1 million on me?
Let's do it. Right after this, we're going to do a ritual. We should do that live.
Can you make a ritual to like invoke Jason Short, who was like the hot stoner guy, from
Like, at his
Clueless,
age?
and was also in this movie?
I was going to say, at his age in the movie or now?
Either. Jason Short is still hot. I
will
still
take him any age.
I wouldn't say no. I might not pick him first, but I won't say no.
He might be crazy like Chris in this movie, which we'll talk about later.
Okay, you could be crazy for all of one night, and then I'm kicking him out. Or Jay.
That's
Or
kind of
Jay.
what happens with Sarah. Where she wishes for Chris's affection and it kind of comes back to bite
Also,
her.
Chris Hooker. These names. Like,
What a
like,
name.
He sleeps with everyone. His name's Chris Hooker.
And later he's
Subtle.
an
Yeah.
asshole who's probably not a good... Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's terrible.
His name is definitely terrible.
Yeah.
Just like him.
He's terrible. His name's terrible.
So...
And he makes up a rumor like the next day that he slept with Sarah. And I'm like, okay, I haven't been in high school in a long ass fucking time.
Has anyone had that done to them? Have you?
Yeah. Yes, I had a friend.
I've also had that done. I've had that done to me like recently, where like someone was like telling people that we slept together. I'm like, to get like clout.
Clout?
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
know
like,
enough clout for
even
that.
the people that have slept with me, I'm like, that's not cool. Like, if you go and tell your friends that we like slept together, like what we did together.
Yeah, it's very slut shamey.
Yeah.
In
It's
the-
super slut shamey.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, who cares if you
Yeah.
did or didn't? Like, who
Like, that
cares?
doesn't make you better.
I mean, like when I went to high school, I did have a friend that this happened to who, like, a dude claimed, like, on prom night, whatever, you know, the typical story.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is this still a thing? I feel like Gen Z is supposed to be a little more aware of these things and not be so slut shamey. I hope this isn't. Still
I hope
a
that,
thing.
and you know, and you're bringing up a good point that like there's a lot of like me being a decade older than you all even like there's a lot of stuff that I'm like oh like that's terrible and awful, but the generation that is experiencing it doesn't see it that way. So like, I think it's terrible, but it's not actually terrible because it's not happening.
It's not a
terrible
thing
to me.
anymore.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't a thing anymore. It probably is because people love to slut shame.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I hope so. We've talked about this and how we think what we see implies that because of the people who are like on TikTok and social media who like are social justice fighters, right?
Mhm.
But I was telling her the other day, I was like, when I was younger, I was bullied and whatever, and like experienced the things I did. Just because we think the next generation is not experiencing these things because of what we see online doesn't necessarily mean it's happening in every instance. Yeah.
Another thing that comes up is Rochelle is dealing with a very racist mean girl.
Yeah, Rochelle, who is an African American in the school full of white people, because I didn't see any other African Americans in this school. But also, like, Fairuza Balk is from a trailer park. And how is she in a Catholic private school?
I was going to bring that up. Catholic schools cost money.
Yeah, and her mom is kind of... I mean,
like trash.
She is. Complete. I was trying to understand her parents' dynamic. I don't know if it was that the guy is her dad or if it's just a dude her mom
I got the vibe
right?
that it was like her stepdad.
Okay. Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, I don't know if there's help to get you into Catholic school, right? Because it's private school, you pay for it.
There is like scholarships and grants and things like that.
So that means Nancy is smart.
But I was gonna say, I'm like, she doesn't strike me as the kind that would get a scholarship either. Like, it's like I think her whole storyline is like, life is terrible and I don't do homework.
You can be smart. I didn't do homework.
Even if you're smart, this girl does not do homework. This girl is like,
for a fact,
this girl is like summoning the four corners. She's not doing 2 + 2.
Exactly.
2 + 2 in high school.
Blessed be. Yeah.
I think it's interesting because in the 90s, most African-American characters were tokens.
Yes.
The black best friend.
I was going to say that. I just wasn't sure if it was PC to say token.
No, they were absolutely treated like that in the 90s. Sure. But this character is represented as having these struggles with racism. Now, could she have had other struggles that didn't deal with racism and they put in the film? Yes. Mm-hmm. But this film chose to focus on that. Yeah. Which you did not see at the time.
We didn't see it, but because I brought up Clueless earlier, like, I feel like, so The Craft, this movie, like, presents, you know, like, the struggle with race, like someone is being racist, whereas Clueless presents this very affluent African-American girl, Dion, and, like, doesn't even, like, talk about race. Like, they're just, like, we're equals. We have money, too, like,
yeah.
Which is
Dion
good.
And Murray, I think Murray was the name of her boyfriend, like,
her boyfriend,
also has money, like, they're also introducing race without talking about it. They're saying, like, there are rich black people, period.
Which is the way I think things should be, right? Is where you just don't even notice it.
Yeah. Like, and that's why this is making a very overt case of, like, there's racism in these society. Whereas Clueless
because she says some really awful things to her in the swim class. Things that we should not repeat.
No.
But Laura Lizzie is the mean girl in this scene because she comes back later as having paid the consequences for her action. I would like to point out that Nancy's also like a really power-hungry character from the beginning. Yeah. When they're first doing these rituals with Manon and she's drinking the blood of her 4 sisters, they all ask for kind of simple things. Mm-hmm.
Yep. They didn't ask for an HIV test. No one.
So
this was 1996. Yeah. It was a big deal. But they're drinking each other's blood.
Yeah. I do want to point out that when they got here for the ritual, I like the line.
They asked for their status?
No, I like the line that they use when they get off the bus.
We are the weirdos, mister.
The guy's like, keep an eye out for those weirdos. And she's like, puts her sunglasses on. She's like, we are the weirdos. Smiles creepily.
Favorite line.
Which is what makes this film you are the outcast. You like this film. Mm-hmm. Like, it's good to be a weirdo.
Yeah, it is, though. I say that today. Makes you unique.
I would agree. If you're in high school and you're listening to this and you're the weird kid, it's fucking good.
Keep it up.
I watch Drag Race a lot, and I won't give any spoilers, but in the last episode of Drag Race, which is like the finale is the next episode, so it just happened yesterday, and the next episode is finale. All along Drag Race, RuPaul always makes a point to like accept yourself. Like one of like RuPaul's like big lines is like, if you don't love yourself, how will
someone else? Yes.
Love somebody else or whatever. But in this last episode, and Drag Race America feels very like catty and drama, and it feels like it's meant
There's
to, like,
also racial issues in US
because
they have like the African American drag queens have the least following.
Yeah. But in this last episode, he finally, like RuPaul says, like, he's like, this show is all about like to win this show is like, you have to forget what the haters say. Yep. And respect yourself. What makes you weird is what makes you good. Like, what makes you weird is what makes you unique, and that's what we want to see. We want to see more of that weird.
I completely agree, and I think that goes into any point of your life, right? I know that people are made fun of for their interests, and I think people think that like at a certain age you should be over certain things and whatever. I say this because I'm a huge nerd, and I like what I like.
He's a fucking nerd.
I'm a nerd.
Okay, everyone's a nerd about something.
Yes, it could be sports.
In their life.
You could literally be a nerd about sports. I had a coworker one time make fun of me for liking superhero stuff, but he had figures of basketball players on his desk, and I was like, "How are you different than me?"
I have jock shops at home, and like that's my weird thing. Like, that's
Where are we in this movie?
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
I don't. Sorry, I'm all about tangents.
It's okay. It's good.
Cosine, sine.
Apologize. Sorry, not sorry.
So let's talk about the struggles that each of these girls go through. We had Rochelle dealing with racism. We have Bonnie dealing with
the scars that come from who knows what, because I don't think it's ever said.
It's never really explained.
So Nancy is coming from a broken home and wants the power of Manon, it seems like. And then Sarah...
The quote is, her spell, I think she just doesn't want to be white trash. Like that was
yeah, that's what Rochelle says, right?
Mm.
And
I think that's all it is.
Sarah's is so dumb to me, but it's, I guess, a high schooly thing is that she wants Chris to like her, even though Chris has been a dick this entire time.
Oh, yeah. And, I think Sarah's whole issue is, she has untapped potential and she's afraid of it. And her biggest concerns are a boy. It's weird because Sarah is the good witch, but her sisters in the coven have crazier struggles.
Real problems. And her's I just want the boy to love me.
And we never really find out why she wanted to commit suicide. They talk about how she killed her mom at birth, but she has this connection with this person who she's never met. I guess we're supposed to believe that it caused so much trauma that she wanted to kill herself because she killed her mom.
Yeah, it could be that she got a stepmom and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just implied.
That she's causing all these things through magic that she doesn't understand. But okay, when you're a woman and you don't have power, but then you have these magical powers, I don't see you running away from that. You want to capitalize on that like Nancy does, and she's the villain.
When they do this pact, right, they go into this kind of field, they do a ritual, they cut each other's hands, they drink out of this chalice, and you brought up the STD thing. They all drink the blood of each other, and as they're drinking
which was
the blood,
actually circling back, it was the mid-90s. I remember around that time in the 90s, this was 96. There was also these Ryan White was this little kid in Indiana who had HIV. There's a Ryan White program now nationally that supports HIV treatment and things like that.
It's what made them take it seriously.
It's what made them take it seriously. But I remember there was a episode or a show or whatever on Showtime or HBO, one of those channels, where it talked about that little boy's life. And one of the things that they would do is that him and his friends were blood brothers. So they would cut their fingers and mix their blood together. And that's one of the things they couldn't do anymore because he had HIV. Oh, man. So it's interesting to see remembering that and knowing that this movie was from the same time period. And they're mixing each other's blood and not really talking about the HIV thing.
Again, this movie is the 1990s, but it had tackled so many subject matters that I think are still taboo today.
Oh, totally. Mm-hmm.
Which is, I guess, why it developed a cult following, not so much popular at the time, because people weren't ready to talk about those things at the time.
Yeah, I think in the mid-90s, witchcraft was still too,
it's the devil's work.
Yeah.
I mean,
the satanic panic happened in the 80s.
I was just about to say is that all those true crime things that we watch, it's the hysteria around killers and serial killers
people
being
say
hail Satan, and it's they're not even devil worshippers, but you create this hysteria around it because they're oh, he worshiped the devil.
Yeah. No.
Not to mention that the Church of Satanism is a recognized religion in the government nowadays.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
but you can't do yoga in school.
Is it real?
Yeah, there was I forget what state it was, but they had they outlawed yoga in school because it promotes whatever religion.
I'm pretty sure there was goat
no
yoga.
No fucking way.
There was goat yoga.
Fucking way.
In my school, yoga was an elective.
You can't do yoga anymore. And to me, I'm like, I wanted to stretch.
I'm pretty
all
sure
I want to do is flex, be flexible. And I know that there's a religion behind it too. There's a religious practice that goes with it. But for my day, all I need to know is touch my toes. That's all I want to do.
I want to stay flexible in my 30s.
Only in the right situation would downward dog apply for me.
There was goat yoga at my college.
I can't get into
greatest of all time.
If you want to talk about Satan worshiping,
goat yoga.
I should sign up.
By the way, goat yoga.
So Rochelle wanted the racism to be taken care of. Sarah wanted Chris to love her. Bonnie wants beauty. And Nancy wants the power of Manon.
She wants power, and she wants power since the beginning.
She wants the power of Manon.
Yeah.
So they're in class. Chris is staring at Sarah. And this is the first sign we see of the magic actually working. And he's just staring at her. What?
He's being creepy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm staring at you.
Yeah. And so I think it's Bonnie who is I think it's working. And so Sarah's no. But they're walking away from class.
Don't look at him, but I'm going to look at him.
And Chris Chris is following them, and he's like, I want to talk to you, I love you. Suddenly I woke up, and it's just like, you're the only thing I can think of. And they're kind of like standoffish, and he goes away. And they play the game, light as a feather, stiff as a board at home, and they levitate Rochelle. And then the mom walks in and is like, are you guys doing drugs?
Are you high?
Are you smoking the marijuanas?
Like a girl just fell from like it was midair, fell to the ground.
And she was still in the air when she comes in.
Totally.
Yeah.
And her concern is, are you getting high?
But then we get this montage. It's a very feel-good montage of the girls
Wish
feeling
is
powerful.
A Noxzema
True.
commercial is what I like. Like they're just kind of like. The music is very
Hair in
like,
the wind. Everyone's got sunglasses on inside.
Nancy's very like bipolar. Like there's very like Nancy's like angry and hates Sarah, and her wish isn't coming true, or her spell isn't coming true. But then there's this scene, and they're all like friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very back and forth. You can never tell if they're mad at each other or what, but they, like, unless they say so, you don't realize it, because in the next scene will be them being friends.
I guess it's supposed to be like a commentary on female relationships at the time,
Maybe.
where like you like this person, but you're kind of jealous of this person at the same time.
They're good friends at this point. You can tell because of the montage. They're all feeling good. Sarah is helping Rochelle out because she walks by Laura. Sarah's never been involved with anything to do with Laura.
Mhm.
And just in the hall plucks out of some of her hair. And she's like, you pulled my hair.
And if I ever hated someone, that's exactly what I would do. I'm like, fuck you.
Is
I'm
it really
pulling
that
hair.
easy to pull someone's whole patch of hair out?
I don't care how much hair I pull out, I'm pulling hair.
She pulls her hair out. Laura's like, you bitch, and just walks away. And the next scene is Rochelle diving, and Sarah's hair is falling out, and she's got a rash on the back of her head. And Rochelle has the best dive of her life.
I want to say that Rochelle's situation with this girl, Laura, eventually we see that Laura's hair is completely falling out in the shower, and you're like, you get the fact.
Which I can sympathize with, because I'm starting to go bald in the back. So I'm like, I know that feeling.
You ran
Yeah,
into a witch. You know that.
you kind
Probably.
of feel bad, but also like just because your hair is falling out doesn't excuse you being a fucking racist.
No.
I kind of don't feel sorry for her.
Also, the emergent, she's like sitting in a shower, and her hair's very like gone. Like she's wearing a bald cap. She goes from terrible wig to terrible bald cap.
Yeah.
Which is like obviously has hair under it.
Could you imagine walking into a bathroom and like there's a trail of hair, and then you walking on a girl just crying on the floor?
I can't imagine it, but I also can't imagine the girl that's like freaking out, like, oh my god, let me get some emergency treatment for you. I'm like, there are more emergent things happening in here than some girl's hair falling out.
And later on, they go to a party and the bitch has a wig on. Yeah, you're fine. You have a wig on.
And she talks to Rochelle, and she's like, hey, I wanted to talk to you about like what? Like what is
About
your
what?
charge of?
Yeah.
Like now you being black is okay because I'm bald.
I understand your struggle now because I'm bald.
Right.
No!
It was just so like
The Laura story is weird because we were talking about this, and I was saying that the practical thing what would happen is if someone pulled my hair out in the hallway and I was like, you're bitch, and walk away, and the next day my hair starts to fall out and I have rashes in my head, I would immediately assume that you did something to my hair.
I would press charges.
Brujeria.
Yes, I mean, why wouldn't that be the immediate? But it wasn't even Rochelle, it was Sarah. But when she's at the party and she sees Rochelle and is like, hey, I just want to be really nice to you, it's like,
Hey, I noticed that you're at this rich, wealthy party, like and I want to be your friend.
rich wealthy party, and you're here.
Rich, wealthy party with a keg.
I want to say that Bonnie's situation is kind of messed up.
So Bonnie had her body horror situation. She has, you called it needling, Johnny, because you come from the medical field.
Microneedling or something.
Microneedling, which is now like a outpatient. Like you do it in the office. You walk into the doctor's office. They microneedle your stuff, and like it's supposed to like help because it increases blood flow to the area, so it reduces scars and like stretch marks and that kind of thing. But it wasn't like it was like a 16 to 18 gauge needle in that fucking movie, and it was like jabbing at her. Like now it's like it's tiny little needles that like get dragged across your skin.
When you pointed that out, I was starting to think about how the machinery in hospitals was always scary as hell because it was just so obnoxious.
Yeah,
I forgot
that
what other
medical
movie.
is like horrifying in its own right.
So Bonnie's scars are gone and she's come back and she's glowing.
And she's fucking beautiful. Like if I looked like her and I had scars, I probably would still.
She's
Be a hoe.
literally.
I would still be a hoe.
I would still be a bad bitch. Like
I'm like, I'm gonna leave the t-shirt on, but I'm still a hoe.
still got like massive boobs. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Oh my god. Yeah. The nipples are fine. Go for it.
But again, this actress is beautiful.
Yeah.
We're supposed to believe because she has a couple scars that she's not.
Speaking as someone with a massive scar going from ear to ear, like I think you focus so much on like the negative that you like assume everything is bad. So like this little, I would pencil this like little scar in, like 'cause I would just assume people would just like focus on that, and then at one point I'm like, no one fucking cares about this guy. Like, so many people were like, oh, I like your scar. Because they thought, or no, I like your hair. I'm like, what about my hair? And they're like, well, the line. I'm like, the line is a scar. And so many people were saying that, and eventually like, fuck this.
The line is a vibe.
Like, it's clearly not, the pencil stuff is not working. It's clearly still visible. And probably like even sadder because I'm penciling it in.
So what we're saying is, if you have something that makes you different, fucking own it.
Yes. Own that shit.
That makes
you. Like you're worrying, like you're stressing yourself out so much for something that no one fucking cares about.
Which is very high school. No one notices it, and you think everyone notices it.
Yeah, you're the only one that notices. People are focused on what you're saying or doing. No one cares about them. I honestly, like, looks are like such a like a side piece thing that like no one cares about. And Nancy wants a smaller ass.
Heroin sheet.
And for Manon to fill her.
Look, yeah.
Manon to fill her.
Fill me, Manon. That she actually says that Manon, fill me.
Do you think it was a thing to just make it Manon? I want a Manon inside me.
I think so. I feel like it was because names are never just like, I feel like in movies and in books and stuff like that, names are never just like, oh, Rebecca sounds great. Like, no, they pick them intentionally. I feel like Manon is like a thing. Like, unless Manon is like an actual.
It's not that they made him up for this, unless it's a.
Mana is a thing. Like mana, like mana is like
mana, M-A-N-A?
nectar of the god, M-A-N-A. Like
yes.
Nectar of the gods
like
and like stuff like a
chakra.
Yeah.
It's like chakra. Sorry.
I am sure people will point out that our witch information is totally fucking
We'll learn
wrong.
eventually.
And
guys.
I am willing to accept the feedback from anybody that wants to send it
Teach
to me.
me. I'm willing to take a class. Please teach me.
Go to our
plenty
website,
of
comment
witchy
on this
friends.
episode, teach us about Wicca.
I have plenty of witchy friends that would like love to give us that information. So if you're one of the witchy friends, like DM.
Yes.
Yeah. We got married in fucking Salem and learned some shit there.
Oh, let me tell you about Erick and Vivi. Like Erick and Vivi are like the most cosplay witchcrafty Salem marriage on October 31st people that I've ever met.
We're willing to learn, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're embracing this. They're definitely not like making fun or poking fun or like anything.
No.
They are embracing this moment
Honestly,
and situation, and please help.
Honestly, so I'm not religious, right? We can't.
Are
we
you
grew,
not?
No. We grew up in. Hold on. We grew up in Catholicism.
Girl, she played on an organ in like a church for 6 years. She like I was very
You?
like so. I played a piano at a church for a bunch of years, and then this one took over and played guitar at the same church.
Mm-hmm. Wicca and things like that, though, have like intrigued me. Energy from it, I think that's real. I think that if we were to say that energy is a religion, and I'm a very scientific person. I think that when you look at,
I don't know about that.
I'm saying that I think that when we talk about religion, we talk about spirits, we talk about energy. I mean, energy doesn't just end when you die, right? And all energy transfers to something else.
That's a science thing, yeah.
I think energy is spirituality.
It's real,
honestly.
yeah.
And so I think this Wicca, this religion, this even pagan religions and the things that they believe in. Sometimes I'm like, man, I believe that more than Catholicism.
Well, a lot of Catholic holidays are based in pagan holidays because they couldn't change it historically. People wouldn't let go of their original religions.
Can we, like, since we're bringing that up, can we talk about, like, why then is she wearing rosaries?
Right.
Why is Fairuza Balk wearing, why is Nancy wearing all these rosaries?
She wears a ton of them.
Tons.
Especially after she gives Sarah this background of, like, this practice that we do is more than God and the devil. It's above.
It's before God.
Yeah.
Man created God. This is before that.
Nancy, as her character gets darker and her makeup gets darker as she gets more powerful, and then the crosses on her start to turn upside down.
Oh,
her earrings turn upside down, her chains and chokers turn upside down.
She becomes the Antichrist.
A little bit.
Yeah, but I think is it symbolic? They did consult an actual Wicca to make sure that everything was kind of authentic and that everything that they do talk about is true to some capacity. And try to keep that in mind and everything that they were saying and thinking like, what was made up for the movie and what was real? I don't know that we even saw any religion, like let's say Christian symbology when we were even in any of those like
I would feel like
stores.
the plague of bugs and snakes and vermin is very Catholic.
But that's why it's what does that have to do? Like, is it actually part of the Wicca story? I mean, again, I sound probably ignorant for anyone who actually does this, but if they did talk to someone to make it authentic, what did that have to do with it then?
We're also like we're explaining or we're thinking of Wicca as opposite of religion.
So I think it has something to do with being raised Catholic. And in the past years, I've been trying to get into Wicca and all those kinds of things. And it's just, you see that Wicca is viewed as oppositional, but it's just another religion.
Kind of disagree. I don't think we're looking at it as opposites. I think it's an alternative that is conflicting in certain respects to
I think we always I don't think we are. I think generally the public looks at Wicca as the opposite of religion,
and I think it's because people incorrectly associate it with Satan and the devil. But so Nancy, out of all the 4 girls, right, who are experiencing their magic come true, Nancy's kind of the one that's left out. Like, I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's Manon's. That's the only thing she asked for was Manon's power.
And at this point, the quality of the films also starts to deteriorate. If you guys don't, I don't know if you all noticed it, but I noticed that the quality of the movie, it was never great. It was always kind of campy. But at this point, it starts to lose the storyline starts to get a little chaotic. Visually, it gets a little chaotic too.
It's the early 90s.
Well, I was like, this is 1996, and we just covered Scream the last episode, and they were both in 1996. But I feel like this one looks older. But she goes home, her parents are fighting, and Ray attacks the mom, and Nancy blows up. She gets angry, and she's like, leave her alone, and the stove and whatever else blows up, and Ray starts to have kind of a heart attack in the ambulance. Next scene is they're at it sounds like the collector guy who's like, hey, your life insurance is this because Ray died. So Nancy technically killed Ray with her power. Nancy realizes, I've got the power, and they realize that they have a life insurance policy for $175,000, and so naturally the mom goes and buys a condo with a jukebox.
A condo with a sofa and a jukebox, and that's it. And there's a mattress on the floor.
That's all you need.
And that's what I want. But I also start to feel at this point, witchcraft is just theatrical.
They all use witchcraft for, I would say, selfish reasons. And I think that's what makes it, disingenuine.
Yeah, because the next scene that we get after the condo is them reading through magazines. Let's think about this as a high schooler, right? You have these high school girls who have witch powers. And so they start going through these magazines and they're like, make your eyes blue or change your eye color. Okay, now change your hair. Was it Sarah who changed her eyes from green to brown?
Yeah.
She changed her hair from brown to blonde. Very horrible CGI.
The glamour comes into play a lot during the last few scenes where they're all kind of just trying to manipulate each other.
And that's because Sarah is also starting to realize that the other girls' intent is not, or specifically Nancy's intent, isn't very good. And so Sarah starts to notice that the magic is kind of going bad because Chris is following her, begging her to hang out. He's outside of her house. You remember that? He confesses her love, and he's like, I don't know why I'm here. I just one day woke up and I love you. And she's like, you don't even know me, bro. And the girls are doing the ritual on the beach, and this is when I think Nancy's real power with Manon actually takes effect, because this is when we get the walking on the water scene. The sharks are on the beach, and Johnny, you pointed out that if someone, because there's a ton of people on this beach for some reason. Yeah. And there's a bunch of dead sharks and other fish on the beach just washed up, and Nancy starts to say, oh my god, it's for me, it's a gift.
They're my gifts. He loves me. Oh my god. If someone said that and I'm watching it, I'm I'm pulling my phone out.
Put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
We get this scene where Sarah finally agrees to go on a date with Chris, and it's not a great scene. I forgot how dark this movie can get, because it's a potential rape scene.
She's there because she had a potential fallout with the girls.
And she's trying to vent to this character. It doesn't go well. He tries to sexually assault her, and she runs away.
Which is kind of out of character. It's almost that was his real self coming out, I feel like.
Yeah, because later on, she's when he gets killed or whatever, she's like, oh, at his core, I believe he was a good guy. And I'm like, no. He was a fucking rapist.
And he was always shitty before you put the spell on him.
Yeah.
The point is that the spells were going to go wrong at some point, right? And so the worst part of making someone love you is that they are obsessive and want
what does that do to
take you no matter what, whether you want to or not. And so that is the dark side of making someone want to love you.
So when she eventually goes to her friends to vent about this, Nancy takes it upon herself to extract revenge on Chris.
The follow part is so weird to me, because it's if you went to Chris to vent about your shitty friends that just said, fuck you, if you're scared, don't hang out with us. But then Chris tries to rape you, and then you're like, you know what, Chris is shitty, so I'm going to go vent to my friends who hate me because you guys are shitty. But I'm going to go vent to you guys now too. Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
Say what you want about Nancy. I love her look. I love her boots.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she goes to this party where Chris is at too. She claims it's for revenge, but she kind of ends up hooking up with him while pretending to be Sarah.
It is for me. I'm watching that and I'm like, oh yeah, I would totally do that to somebody. I'm she's walking up to it. He rejects her initially when she's when she's dressed as Nancy, and then she changes her appearance to look like Sarah, and he's like, oh, I'm into it, and then starts writing him
I don't appreciate the
full 3-inch deal. Yeah.
No, I mean more like, I don't appreciate that these girls would fight over such a fucking lame dude.
He's so not cute.
No.
They are so much better than him.
Yeah.
Like, why fight
They have
over him?
powers.
Yes,
Yeah.
and this dude is like a lovesick puppy.
If I'm fantasizing about Jason Schwartz, there's a problem with casting. Do you know, like
Yeah, but you said he was hot in Scream.
I thought he was hot and screen. So he was just not he was not like makeup or like characterized.
Whatever
like
they
the
did
best
to him.
person. Yeah,
Or they just did a really good job of making him creepy.
Yeah.
Like just a shitty character.
which is his character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that Nancy, the actress, she's a really good character in the scene because she's like going crazy. She's shaking her head and she's being like, "You don't even exist to me. This is a game."
No one else could be Fairuza Balk.
No.
Like this is so cast for her. Like
When you think of The Craft, the one character I think of, I mean, when I saw the rest of the characters, I don't even remember them. I just remember Fairuza Balk.
Yeah, even though
Fairuza Balk,
Sarah
sorry.
is supposed to be the good witch, you don't think of her. You think of Nancy.
I don't even really care what Sarah's doing right now, but I care what Nancy's doing right now. Like
Right.
she's still in the asylum.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. I get that Sarah is the reason these girls have power, but I kind of don't sympathize with Sarah that much.
Yeah. She's not likable.
She's
I
no,
don't like her.
no. That's what I
Yeah.
think. That's what I'm
She's
looking
the
for.
main
It's like,
character, and you're kind of not rooting for her.
This happens with a lot of movies
No.
though, because we were talking about 28 Weeks Later too, and how like the main nobody cares. I just want to know what's
Mhm.
happening with everything going on, and that's how I feel about Sarah. Is that Sarah? Yeah, sure, is the good one, but the most iconic character is Nancy, and she's the bad character. And is it because we like her like she's badass, and that's why she's the most memorable part?
I just
think
don't like.
so.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't like how Sarah's like I was talking about earlier. Like the way she's kind of saying like, "Hey guys," like I don't care. Like it's so like a very laissez-faire attitude that I'm like, "Fuck you." Like I don't. Who are you?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
comes from a place of privilege already.
Yeah, that's true.
Where
Yeah,
Nancy,
that's
Rochelle,
it.
and Bonnie, they have real struggles.
That's true.
Yeah.
You don't really feel sorry for
Her
Sarah.
problem is the guy doesn't like me.
Yeah, the guy doesn't like me. He called me a slut.
Yeah.
Sure, she's
I already have powers, but the guy doesn't like me.
I don't know. I think
I'm not
this
bi-
is...
I think it's such a woman empowerment movie.
It
That this
is.
feels like such a disempowered role.
It does.
I think it's a woman empowerment movie, but not in the way they intended. They intended you to resonate with Sarah, and you kind of, well, I guess if you're not.
I was gonna say if you're a minority. I
If
think
you're a
you-
minority, if you're not someone coming from a position of power already, you don't resonate with Sarah.
That's true.
Yeah.
You resonate with Nancy, Bonnie, Rochelle, because they have actual struggles.
Even if Nancy and Bonnie are white, they have real life problems that Sarah doesn't portray at all. But literally, her own wish was just, I want this guy to like me.
Are we the wrong demographic though? Like we're watching this from like I'm like if I was a 14-year-old, a 12 to 14-year-old girl in high school, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want the guy. Like that would resonate with me. Like, oh yeah, I want the guy to like me. I want the quarterback to be into me. I actually probably if I was a 12 to 14-year-old girl, like unless I was over.
You were a 14-year-old girl when this movie came out.
I was back at I was at least a 10-year-old girl back in I was a
Okay, yeah,
13-year-old
you were.
she back in the day. And I feel like then I would totally want the quarterback to do me. And I don't think I would even see the struggles of the girl with scars. I'd be like, she has scars? Big deal. Like the guy, I want the guy. Or
Yeah.
like, no one likes me because I'm Mexican. I don't care. I just want him to like me. Period.
So, as the only girl, except Johnny, the only other,
The only other girl.
except Eric, who's cis, whatever.
Fuck her.
Fucking boring.
This movie's not for you.
I thought it was cool. I want to be Fairuza Balk.
I just want the name.
Yeah, like, okay, I watched this movie. I knew it existed when I was growing up, but I watched it for real when I was in high school and college. I resonated more with Nancy. The, like, lack of power, wanting more.
Also think about like, okay, so as minorities, her story is probably the one that resonates with us the most. In society, we're probably treated at the bottom of the food chain, right?
Like Rochelle,
And
like
so
Bonnie.
To think that like we would use power for becoming greater, why wouldn't that be the immediate thought, right? To just be
Yeah.
like, I want more power.
Yes.
Because I have no power. Everything I come from is shit. We need more. Literally, Sarah, at some point when her dad's trying to help her because Chris gets killed by Nancy and thrown out a window, she's like, everything I touch is shit. It goes to shit or die, whatever. It's like, dude, fucking stop, man. You have money. You have a house. Your parents are here. Like, you don't have the same problems that any of the other characters
And
have.
I think that's why this movie has a cult following. Not because anyone resonates with Sarah, but the struggles of Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle. Like, honestly, I don't relate to Sarah at all.
Yeah, neither do I.
No, I mean, she kind of becomes cool at the end, story-wise, right?
She wants to be good, but I don't know. What is this what is the message of this movie if the characters who go through actual struggle are punished and the girl who came from privilege and money wins?
Even like that, like the last line she goes, you don't want to end up like Nancy.
You don't want to end up like her, and she's like in an asylum.
So she went from a trailer in a bad situation, being abused by like adults, to being abused by the institution, to being declared mentally ill. Yeah.
So let's not skip over the like crazy finale where these 3 girls tried to attack Sarah.
Because Sarah's realizing that things are going bad with the rest of the girls and realizes that Nancy specifically is a bad person and she's kind of using her thing for bad. So Sarah cuts a picture of Nancy, starts to do a binding ritual on a piece of a picture that she cuts out of the 4 of them.
I banned you, Nancy, from doing harm.
Sarah dreams of the girls crashing through her window and taking her, and you pointed out how it was really like
Sanders and Sisters.
It looked like that scene.
Totally, yeah.
The voices that they use aren't even scary. I think one of them's like, and Sarah. But so they're looking for her. They find her in a bathroom and they're kind of confronting her. And Nancy points out, don't ever try to put a spell on me. And Sarah's kind of like, what the fuck? How does she know?
Yeah.
She's like, in the old days, a witch would be killed for betraying her coven.
Which I thought like she wasn't betraying her coven. She was just binding Nancy from doing bad things to people.
Yeah.
Yes, and we were debating this.
How is that betrayal?
For the show. But Sarah goes to the store because she sees all this stuff going on. Sarah talks to the store owner, and the store owner starts to reveal some things about Sarah that she herself didn't know. And she says, your mother was also a witch. Your power is strong. She takes her to a room and there's a symbol on the floor, and the floor starts to kind of like wave, right? Because it's resonating with her energy and her power. And the store owner's like, we need to invoke Manan ourselves. And Sarah's like, but Nancy has that power. Isn't it evil? And she's like, no, it's if you're bad or you're good, the spirit or whatever, the energy, the god will kind of feed off that energy that you have. If you're good.
She said magic is both good and evil.
Yes. And it depends on what's in your heart.
I thought this was very interesting. That magic is not good or bad. Like nature, it's both. And it just depends on the witch and how she uses it.
Which I thought was powerful, right? The sequence kind of goes on. They start to kind of invoke the spirit because she's kind of hesitant to do so. And it looks like the store explodes. And there's a lot of this throughout the rest of the movie where there's like things that happen but aren't actually happening.
It's glamoring.
Glamoring is what they call it, yes. And so it looks like the store blows up. And so Sarah freaks out and she's like, it's Nancy. She's fighting back, right? And so she leaves, runs away, and goes through the worst part of town. She's like, I'm gonna take a shortcut through the shadiest part of town. She goes home. She sees that her parents left a note, and the note says,
we went to go take a plane that was gonna crash, so peace out.
And so Nancy calls on the phone, and she's like, oh, haven't you seen the news? Look, turn on the TV, and the news.
No, I was watching Drag Race.
And the news is saying, basically, there was some flight that crashed, and so everyone who was on it didn't survive. And so Sarah is like, oh my god, my parents are dead. She doesn't believe it, but she goes outside. There's snakes, spiders, maggots, everything throughout the house.
Which is interesting, right? Because there's so much in the Bible about, like, parasites and vermin.
The plague.
And the plague. Yeah, and it plays into this. So while the girls are in the house, Nancy, Bonnie, and Rochelle, they're trying to intimidate Sarah. It's kind of weird because they play off Sarah's insecurities about suicide and things like that. Sarah finally decides, I'm not going to be afraid of my power. I'm going to embrace it. And Bonnie and Rochelle are very easily scared off.
They also, like, it isn't until this point, like, I know that they're, like, secondary characters and, like, it's Sarah against Nancy thing. But in this, like, in the house moment, they're in the house after, like, the snakes and whatever. It's the first time that I feel that Rochelle and Bonnie are, like, henchmen. Because Nancy tells them, go upstairs and look for her. Or tells Rochelle, go upstairs and look for her. And Rochelle's like, I'm not going to go up there alone. And she, like, puts a knife to her. She's like, do it or I'll slit your throat.
Yeah.
And so then they both go up there. She's like, come on, I'll do it with her.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that I don't know if it was Bonnie or Rochelle, but they're like, why isn't she using powers against us? And Nancy's like, it's because she's weak.
So I will point out that Nancy wants to claim that Sarah's weak, but the girls wouldn't have powers at all if it wasn't for Sarah, which is, you know, a whole problematic thing in its own right.
But also, like, Sarah has innate abilities, but they're limited until she summons Manon.
Until she's willing to not limit herself.
Yeah.
Which I think is a commentary on being, like, a woman. Like, don't limit yourself just because you're insecure. But Nancy sees it as weakness.
Think about it. Like, you're someone who is trying to be powerful. You suddenly have power, and you have a lot of things that you're coming from that are problematic.
All the power comes from outside, whereas all of Sarah's power comes from inside.
That's what makes me feel so sad for Nancy's character, because I feel like most people would feel like I'm powerless. I'm powerless to the things that are going on around me. But Sarah's character is like, I'm powerful, I'm just kind of holding back.
Naturally powerful. Like, the power just came to me because I was born in it.
I was born to it because my mother was also a witch, which comes into play later.
I feel bad because Fairuza Balk is the best actress, and she got like this like slighted character.
The most memorable.
But she was the perfect casting.
No one remembers Sarah.
No.
Yeah, I hate Sarah.
Anyway, like you said, Bonnie and Rochelle are the easiest to get rid of because what you wish on others comes back 3 times.
Yeah, and it diminishes their characters to vanity. Because Bonnie's affected by scars and Rochelle's affected by the loss of her hair, which is what she did to others.
So they immediately leave.
Immediately run away, run out the door.
I'm bald. Bye.
And Nancy's like,
I'm ugly, like runs away.
So Nancy's like, what the fuck? And so Sarah is starting to do these incantations because she's starting to vibe with her powers, and she sees the picture of her mother.
Come
very
to life.
Harry Potter vibes, right? Where it's like your parents are the ones helping you defeat the villain, and the pictures are coming to life.
Saying she's powerful, not to be afraid of her own power.
Her wounds heal, and Nancy starts to look for her.
Yeah, and there's this like whole sequence where she starts to scare Nancy. Quick note, Nancy has all these bugs and snakes appearing on her, and it kind of implies that she's like a corpse, right?
Yeah.
Like she's dead inside. These snakes and these bugs are like on her body.
She freaks her out, it's not real, but her fingers and her hair are turning into snakes. She scares her, and she's like, hey, and she comes out the mirror, which is a cool effect. I think the mirror effects are fun.
Comes into play a lot in this movie.
No.
I think it's like a play on yourself and then your inner true self, like the bad intentions of yourself.
But so the attack with Nancy happens. She attacks Sarah,
and Nancy's like, fine, I won't do this anymore. But then Sarah's like, fine, but you can't do harm to other people. And then that's where Nancy freaks the fuck out.
She just do the I bind you Nancy thing. I bind you Nancy from doing harm against other people and harm against yourself.
She attacks her. They're like kind of flying on the wall, and all these things are flying at. The dresser comes, Nancy dives, and so just the clothes are left behind because Nancy's like, where are you? And just her clothes layout's there, her shirt, her skirt, her pants.
It's a glamour. And Sarah pops out and kind of like kicks Nancy away from her.
The strongest kick in human history.
Yeah, because Nancy's also trying to stab her at this point.
She launches her across the room into a mirror that's on the other side of the wall.
And that's how it kind of just ends.
It's enough to like make her stop being Nancy.
She says it again, I'm binding you from ever doing harm again. It's the next morning. I don't know if it's implied that it's the literal next morning or later because Nancy's already in the asylum.
I don't know, they sold the house. So.
Yeah, it's implied that she's moving away.
And so Bonnie and Rochelle show up and they say sorry to Sarah. It's very like,
oh,
whatever.
We're sorry we tried to kill you. No big deal.
Yeah, but by the way...
Do you still have powers?
Yeah.
Our powers don't seem to be working
anymore.
It's
cool, we shouldn't bring it up.
Yeah.
And then they walk away and Sarah's kind of like, no, whatever. And then I think it's Rochelle who's like, she probably doesn't even have her powers anyway.
And she fucking like... makes the sky go crazy.
She turns into Storm from the X-Men.
Yeah.
She does. Fucking brings on the lightning onto the trees.
And the tree branch almost kills Bonnie and Rochelle.
And they're like, oh shit, you still have powers.
But you don't want to end up like Nancy.
But you don't want to end up like
Watch
Nancy.
your back, girls.
Yeah.
So
and then we see Nancy's actually in like an institution.
And she's very Peter Pan-ish for some
reason. Which is one of my favorite scenes. Yeah. I can fly.
I have powers.
Fly. I'm flying.
And it's very like manic in the way she's flailing in the bed.
In a straight jacket.
And it's the end.
And that's the end. I get the sense that we're supposed to side with Sarah and not feel bad for Nancy, but I kind of side more with Nancy.
I feel like if there was a sequel to the movie, I don't care what happens to Sarah. I want to know what happens to Nancy.
I think that was actually a project in development, but didn't like go through. People wanted to know more about Nancy than Sarah.
She's more interesting. Sarah's boring as hell. But so...
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool, go back to Berkeley. Like,
whatever, you're the good witch, but you haven't actually had that much struggle compared to these 3 girls.
Good luck with your really sad witch store. We're going to follow Fairuza.
Yeah, it's like... the movie gives you the vibe that you're supposed to not like the girls who have actually gone through some hard shit, but side with the rich white girl.
Yeah.
We're all minorities.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, anyone else would take this movie a different way.
I guess I apologize, but also don't apologize for not being white and looking at it from that perspective.
Sorry, I can't sympathize with your white main character.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Johnny, first one to rate it. What is your thought on this movie?
What, out of what?
Out of 10.
Ooh, so it's high camp. So like as far as camp goes, it's 9 out of 10. But as far as like quality of like a scary movie, it's like a 5. Oh, as far as horror, it's like a 1. Like it's not even horror. Like the most horrific thing is like the snakes and spiders.
Yes.
Even if you were religious, I'm like, it's not that like heavy witchcrafty. Like I feel like it's not Satan-y enough for me. Like if I was really religious, I would still watch it.
Yeah.
It's not Satan-y enough.
I would give it. Okay, I think this movie unintentionally became a cult classic and talked about things that would become prevalent later on. So for that, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. But like you said, it's not scary. I don't know. I guess I'll stay at a 9 out of 10 just because I love that it was like a goth movie. I love the female empowerment and that the movie centers around female friendships instead of like relationships, really. What would you give it?
Yeah, I agree. It's a 9, like movie-wise, because I think that it's badass to make the Misfits cool and powerful. And Fairuza Balk is like great. I hate that she's not more prominent.
Unintentionally, you know, like they didn't probably mean to be this aware.
That's actually like more of a testament to Fairuza Balk. I feel like that's like a character or an actress that like owned the character and was able to create this like, here's this character that's the villain, and she created the fucking villain.
Yeah.
Whereas like they gave Sarah this like, you're the main character, and Sarah's like, okay, I can coast.
Yeah. And I have a bad wig.
Right. Yeah.
But
the CGI.
As far as horror goes, it's not
scary.
No. It's a 1 on the scary list, but a 9 on the movie list.
It's scary if you find women scary and female empowerment scary. Which says more about you.
If you're woke, you're going to be scared.
Wait, if you're woke, you can be scared?
For this movie? Yeah.
Or if you're not woke?
If you're not woke, you're going to be scared. But if you're woke, you're going to be like, this is a great movie.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If you're looking for some Netflix and chill horror stuff.
9 out of 10.
Oh, no. So see, I feel like a 9 out of 10 movie would make me want to watch the movie.
Oh, okay.
But the 1 out of 10 horror film, like, now it's a Netflix and chill movie.
Like, if you don't want to be impressive, you probably shouldn't watch this. But if you want to be impressive.
If you grew up with this movie and you don't want to pay attention to it, Netflix and chill movie.
I'm confused.
I'm saying if you don't want to impress who you're trying to bring into a one-night stand with, don't watch The Craft.
If you bought cheese fries and a burger and then there's like chicken tenders on the way, you're going to like this movie. I'm like...
I'm still confused.
Yeah.
No.
That's how I got Baby to marry me. What do you...
Oh no! Don't tell people that.
No wonder she wore a black dress.
No, generally it's a fun movie. I think it improves over time.
Yeah.
I think people at the time were not ready for this movie. I think now it's more acceptable. Yeah, but do you want to talk about what scared Loki this week?
Yes. Loki was scared by the beach scene and all the things that were going on during it.
Yeah, the sirens, Johnny.
He couldn't get over Johnny.
That was a big distractor.
This is the first time Johnny's come over, so...
You know, I will say this is the first time he's like cuddled with a person like crazy. So he might really like you.
Yeah, he just kept staring at you. I don't know if you noticed that.
I've only met him like once or twice before.
Once.
So do you want to tell us about it, Loki? Great. Glad you like Johnny.
I'm happy too.
All right. Well, that's the show. Thanks for being on here, Johnny. It's been a trip.
It was really fun.
Is there anything you want to promote?
So John Gringo on Instagram. My Twitter is Eaton Dixon Butt. It's EATONDIXONBUTTE. It's descriptive as well as like a family name.
Yeah, we'll link it in the show notes.
Cool.
I'll link it in the show notes,
Yeah.
Cool.
So, as always, we hope you guys had a good time here. You can follow us anywhere at Shaken Not Scared Pod. Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook. You can send us an email at shakennotscaredpod@gmail.com.
Suggest the cocktails, suggest the movie. You can listen to us on all your favorite podcast sites, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, a bunch of others.
And recap on that cocktail. That cocktail was actually good. I did actually like that cocktail.
What'd you call it? The Bitchcraft what?
Bitchcraft.
Yeah. I'm down for more bitchcraft.
Give us a like, review, rate. If you like Johnny, give him a like, review, rate.
And if you don't like me, like, I don't know, like a warm hug or like a comment.
If you don't like him, why are you here?
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Bye. Hey everyone, just one last thing. This is Eric from the Shaken Not Scared podcast. If you're a fan of all things wrestling, listen to the MBMR Wrestling Podcast, as the WrestleManiac hosts Martin and Manny cover predictions and highlights of all the matches going on in the wrestling world. Give them a listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you enjoy your podcasts.